John McCarthy shared a story about Jon Jones yesterday that's been making waves in the MMA community. According to McCarthy, before one of Jon's fights, Jon approached him with a question. To illustrate his point, Jon used an example involving a male commissioner who happened to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu. McCarthy said Jon proceeded to demonstrate by putting him in guard, and then quote-unquote did a sexual act, something Jon later insisted was a joke. Even so, McCarthy noted that Jon's longtime coach Greg Jackson ended up apologizing on his behalf.
But when I went into Jon's locker room, he's bouncing around, he's having a good time, and he said, I got a question for you. I said, yeah, what's your question? And he says, I need somebody. And there's an individual there, and that individual was a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and was working for the commission. And he says, is someone getting on the ground for me, right? And so this guy, being a ground guy and being someone that was, man, I'm in Jon Jones's locker room, this is great. And so he says, oh, I'll do it for you. He says, I know how to roll. And so he goes down, he says, just put me in guard, right? And then Jon decides to do a sexual act with him, saying, what if I do this, right? This isn't illegal, right? And the guy who was on the ground, quickly his eyes went, as big as they could get. Like, what are you doing? And I said, Jon, knock it off, right? And I helped the person up. And he goes, I'm just joking. And he goes, but really, what could you do? I said, I could disqualify you for being unsportsmanlike. Go ahead and do it. Let's see what happens.
I could see if he did that like with a buddy of his, like goofing around in the back. It's different than some random commissioner in the back, a random fan, a random person who's working as an usher or something like that. You're like, yeah, get down here. And then you do it to some person you've never met before. And
that's why Greg Jackson comes up to me and says, Jon, I'm sorry you did that. And I go, Greg, it ain't you. And I go, he's just a dip.
Yep. I mean, like I said, a lot of the choices that he's made throughout his life is directly affected, I think, how people perceive him.
Yeah.
And sadly, it's not in a good light.
At UFC Vegas 107 over the weekend, the main event between Erin Blancfield and Maycee Barber was called off just moments before walkouts. Maycee allegedly had a seizure, and the broadcast team announced that she was not medically cleared to compete. She also missed weight for the fight. She weighed in at 126.5 pounds. Despite the cancellation, KO reps announced that Erin Blancfield was compensated with both her show and win bonuses. Blancfield went off on Maycee afterwards, saying that her life is a mess and she should look into a new division. Maycee has since responded. She posted this to her Instagram today. She wrote, "Not what I planned for a Sunday post. Thank you to everyone for the prayers and support. I owe an apology to UFC, Mick Maynard, Dana White, Sean Shelby, and Erin Blancfield. P.S. My life is not messy. This is just a bad hand. We will get to the bottom of it all and be back."
1969 start.
Sean Strickland reveals that his current net worth is around $4 million. He believes by the end of his fighting career, he'll be worth about $8 to $10 million.
My net worth is probably about $4 million liquid. When I say liquid, I mean in investments.
Gotcha.
I have about $500,000 in real estate, and the rest is in like different accounts. By the time I'm done fighting, worst case scenario, I'll probably have like a net worth of like 8 to 10 million.
And you could just live off that?
I could live off that. I would do about a 5% withdrawal. So 5% withdrawal of like 8 million, was that like 400,000?
A year, yeah.
Yeah, so when I'm done, I'll probably be making about 400K a year at a 5% withdrawal. Now mind you, I'm still gonna leave 5% in to grow.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I don't know. I won't stop. Like, I like to work.
Ahead of his rematch against Merab Dvalishvili this weekend, Sean O'Malley says he plans to keep fighting until he's 37 or 38 years old.
I train in the morning, recover, take a nap in the day, train again in the afternoon. It's like I don't really have energy to go do stuff, and right now I'm so focused on just like not even just fighting Merab, but like I want to fight till I'm 37, 38. Like I'll fight as long as my body holds up, and for that to be the case, I have to take recovery as serious as I take training, and I have been doing that, and I think it'll pay off. And I'm 30 now.
Yeah.
And I think I got some good years in me.
Jon Jones says the rivalry he had with Daniel Cormier brought out the worst in him. Jon said when DC told him that he was going to spit in his face in the leaked interview, he thought DC might actually do it.
I wish they would let me next door so I can spit in your f***ing face.
Jon said, Daniel Cormier and I swear he's aged me in a certain way. I fight out of love. I do what I do surely out of love. I love this gift, the opportunity, the fans, the money, everything. I just love it. But with Daniel Cormier, there was a hatred that came out for the first time, where I just couldn't imagine losing to this man. I remember I got extra workouts on Christmas Day just because I hated him at the time so much, and I couldn't imagine losing to him. It drove me to beating him, but I never want to operate out of that energy. I know he feels the same way about me as well. I've heard him say it in interviews like I genuinely hated Jon Jones. It was stressful, and that training camp took a lot of time. And it probably took a few years off our lives just operating out of so much hate. We got a leaked behind the scenes moment where I was literally telling him that I was going to kill him. We thought the cameras were off and we were still live, and he was like, "Are you next door?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm next door." And like, "Are you still there, p-?" And he's like, "I'm still here." He's like, "I wish they would let me next door so I could spit in your face." I thought about how often I was seeing him face to face, and he could actually spit in my face at some point. We have way more media to do. I told him, "Bro, if you do that, I'm going to kill you. I'll absolutely kill you," and I really meant it. That was too dark for sports and very real. Daniel Cormier, we ran into each other in the street, and thank God we both had our teams around us to keep us separated. That was the only fighter that I felt like I might fight in the street. Then we actually did fight in the MGM Grand, in the lobby before our fight. Daniel Cormier was one of those guys where on-site meant on-site. Anywhere, anytime. It was a good watch, but not that much fun being in. Kayla Harrison has responded to Juliana Pena accusing her of taking PEDs ahead of their fight this weekend, where Juliana will be defending the bantamweight title.
I will say that back then in the Olympics, she looked, like a girl, very feminine, and now she looks super juicy and like cut up.
In an interview with MMAfighting.com, Kayla responded saying, "I think it just, for me, it kind of screams insecurity. When I see her talk, or when I hear her some of the stuff she says, I feel like it's fear, and it's not personal for me. She could say whatever she wants about me. At the end of the day, we get locked in a cage, and that's where I'm gonna do my talking. I think that's just who she is. I think that's a part of her shtick, Like she's the same way with me that she was with Amanda Nunes. She always is kind of yapping. So I think that's just her personality, and I just feel bad that she lives life that way. Sounds like a terrible existence. It's just like she's kind of always throwing spaghetti at the wall. Before I signed with the UFC, it was like, well, if she wants to be in a real promotion, she has to make a real weight, and 135 is where it's at. And so then I signed with the UFC and I cut down to 135, and now I'm a weight bully. But that's the only weight class they have. It's not my choice. And the steroids thing is just like, again, it's funny to me. I've never taken steroids. I got drug tested for the first time when I was in middle school, because that was when I was in the top 5 on the national roster for judo. And so that's when the US sort of started testing, and I've been tested. I mean, I've been tested probably more than any athlete in the UFC. One time I got tested 4 times in a month. Between WADA, the tournaments I went to, and I competed at, I got tested there. And then I got tested when I got home. So she could say whatever she wants, but I know I'm clean. And again, I work really, really hard. Jon Anik explains why he already considers Merab Dvalishvili the bantamweight GOAT. Speaking to MMA Junkie, Anik said, "I do believe he already has status of the greatest bantamweight of all time. I say that as a man who, if I got married this weekend, Dominic Cruz would be a groomsman. He's one of my best friends in the world. But when I look at the body of work of Merab Dvalishvili in the modern era, he could be 14-0 in the UFC. He lost to Frankie Saenz, and then a contentious ending against Ricky Simon. With respect to those two guys, it's been 12 straight wins ever since. He left a murderer's row of champions in his wake before he even fought for the title. He beat Henry Cejudo, beat Petr Yan, beat Jose Aldo, then he beat Sean O'Malley, and defends the title on the challenger's timeline in beating Umar Nurmagomedov. Now the rematch with Sean O'Malley. As far as I'm concerned, with respect to Aljamain Sterling and my best friend Dominic Cruz, the greatest of all time, not so quietly, is Merab the Machine Dvalishvili. I am biased to the modern era. I didn't call a lot of Dominic Cruz's prime, but the game has evolved. #1 contender types in 2025 are much better than they were in 2012. So for me, Merab's the guy." Aljamain Sterling posted an interview with Merab Dvalishvili to his YouTube channel today. Merab gave an update on his toe injury ahead of UFC 316 this weekend. He says it's still swollen, and he still feels some slight pain when he kicks. However, he thinks it'll be fine. Go check out the full interview on Aljo's channel, links in the description.
That was from Thursday or Saturday. I was, I sparring with you 3 rounds, and after I go with Cameron.
Yeah.
And I landed him like my kick, and then that's where I pelted. And yeah, I pelted. It was weird. I finished the round. It was no problem. And yeah, like in nighttime I feel the pain. I put the ice, but next day still was swallowing and black and blue.
Yeah.
And then yeah, it wasn't, but it's still chubby. It's still like fat, but like it's a little toe, and then not really. Like now I feel that every time I kick now, feel it, but like when I walk, no problem.
Yeah.
But if I kick, this toe feels, but it's I should be fine. I still have like 8 days.
Yeah, I figured it wasn't bothering you too much, because I mean normally like people would say something, but I haven't heard you say anything about it, like watch this or anything like that. So yeah, so I wasn't sure if it was like old.
It appears as though Tom Aspinall is finally moving on from the Jon Jones fight. Tom did an interview with Daniel Cormier and Chael Sonnen today. He said, nah man, Jon's retired. What are you talking about, guys? You guys don't follow Jon on social media? The guy is living his best life. He's had a fantastic career, we all know. We know Jon's a religious man, so I want to say God bless him moving forward in what he does with his life and his career. We move on. We move on. I'm the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I'm ready to take on all comers. Get this division moving again. Us guys have been waiting around too long. The contenders are getting sick of it. Everybody is getting sick of it. Even the fans are getting sick of this stuff. Jon's retired. It's time we move on. Tom then reposted the interview to his Instagram story. He wrote, want to be the first to wish Jon all the best in his retirement. Let's get this division going. At UFC. And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. For daily MMA news and content, subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post videos. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. These comments are in reference to Jon Jones saying that he legally can't talk about the Tom Aspinall fight. The first one says legally can't talk about it. Since when does Jon care about the law? The second one's from Billy the Kid. It says also Jon can't fight Tom for legal reasons. Dana can't book it for legal reasons. I can't post anymore on this topic for legal reasons. And the final one says at this point we're getting GTA 6 before Jones fights Aspinall. Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured in the next one, all you have to do is comment down below. And if you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen right now to get caught up.